Hi, we're here today to talk a little bit about spray drift and some of the equipment issues. I know, Joe, when I'm out in the field doing meetings and stuff, one of the things that always comes up is spray drift.
It's a big deal, especially with a lot of the growth regulator type herbicides, 2,4-D, dicamba. Drift is a big concern there.
Yeah, and I know a lot of times we're just saying, well, it's the wind, or maybe it's someone else is causing the drift, but in some cases it can be something just as small as just having the right nozzle tip and having it set up correctly.
Yep, nozzle selection is a big deal, especially in drift reduction situations.
So basically what we have right here on our spray table, and I'll turn it on, is we have some 04 nozzles. This is nothing but an extended range nozzle, and if we put the strobe light on, you can see the really small droplets in there. And we all know what's what can potentially happen to those.
There's a lot of small fines coming off the end of that pattern there.
And if we just put we've got a fan set up, we can just put a small little breeze on this. If you want to go ahead and turn that on. And this is not a strong breeze, and you can start to see some of those fines moving around a little bit at the bottom of the pattern. We're probably about 3.5 to 4 mile an hour breeze on this pattern right now. And droplets are starting to move.
So the higher you get that boom up too, the more you're going to see those fines start to move away from your target site.
Definitely, excellent point. If you look up at this part of the pattern up here, we're starting to see some larger droplets, but the smaller ones really show up down at the bottom of the pattern. You have to have your boom high enough to get the correct overlap between your nozzles, but if you got it any higher than that, you're just exposing those droplets to a greater chance of drift. So we can take from that nozzle and move straight into a turbo T nozzle that's going to create a little bit bigger droplet size for us. And we can see that, especially up at the top part of the pattern, we see a lot larger droplet size.
This is a little bit wider pattern too, 110 degree, which you're going to see a little bit of smaller droplets there. But this will allow you to keep the boom closer to the ground as well.
So we're looking at this, and again, you see now near the bottom, again with that wind on it still, a lot larger droplets near the bottom. And I think as we look at a lot of our labels right now, they'll specify what size of droplet that you want to use with that herbicide.
Yeah, your pre-emergence type applications where coverage isn't quite as important, bigger droplets there work fine. Post-emergence applications, it depends a little bit on the herbicide or other pesticide you're using, depending how big of a deal coverage needs to be.
So this is where you really need to know your sprayer book that you'll get, whether it's a Delavan, a T-Jet, or a High Pro, whatever it might be. You look at that sprayer book, and it will tell you what type of droplet that nozzle will create, whether it's a medium, a coarse, or a very coarse droplet, or a fine droplet. And then again, some of our labels will specify that it requires a certain droplet size. Now here's a air induction nozzle, and again, it's a little bit still 110 degree, but it's a little closer to the target because it's longer. But the droplet size on this, and again with that slight little breeze coming across, it's not moving much at all.
It really holds that pattern. Even the further you get away from the nozzle, it really holds tight there.
Well-defined pattern coming all the way down. Again, it's a little different environment. All of these, again, are 04 nozzles. One thing we're not changing on these nozzles is the pressure. We're showing them all at the same pressure, but that particular nozzle can run at a higher pressure, as well as the Turbo T if you want to run at at the higher pressures. And lastly, we have a High Pro Air Guard nozzle. It's just a little different version of the air induction nozzle. It's going to give a little bit wider droplet spectrum. In other words, you can still see some fines in there, so it's not as large a droplets as the straight air induction, but a little bit different probably than the Turbo T.
But again, you would want to choose that nozzle tip based on the application you're looking for, whether it's an insecticide or fungicide where coverage is crucial, or whether it's a herbicide, pre-emergence, maybe where droplet size isn't quite as important.
Yeah, exactly. The nozzles we're looking at are probably, anywhere, depending on where you buy them, $5 to $10 each. So having the correct nozzles for the job that you want to accomplish is important. If you're trying to get that canopy penetration for, like you said, a fungicide in soybeans or something, or peanuts, then it's not turn the pressure up really high to get it down in there. It's select the correct droplet or select the correct nozzle and get that set up right and run enough volume to get it down in there. I guess the take-home message that we have today is know what you need as far as nozzles are concerned.
Choose the tip for the appropriate application that you're going to make.